All right, so we're just going to wait a few minutes for everyone to arrive, but we'll get started in a few minutes. In the meantime, if you guys have any questions, you can post them to the YouTube page in the comments section, or you can email them to me at will@beermenus.com. We'll be checking those as we go, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys have. All right, so it looks like most of the people who signed up are here. First and foremost, thanks for coming out and listening to us today. My name is Will Stevens. I'm one of the co-founders of Beer Menus, and I'm really excited to be here with Virginia Thomas, who's employee number 1 at Cicerone program, the business manager, quite the beer educator. To give some context, over at the Beer Menus team, we work with lots of beer retailers every day, and I just thought it'd be a really good opportunity to introduce people to the members of the Cicerone program to get them excited to sign up for the program. I myself actually hopped on a hangout with Ray Daniels a little over a year ago, and since then have taken the exam, and the hangout itself was really what got me most excited about it, so I wanted to share this experience with everyone. So without further ado, I'll introduce to you Virginia Thomas, who can go through kind of everything you want to know about the program, and then we'll jump into a few questions that you guys have as they come in.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Will. I'm really happy to be here. I talk about Cicerone all the time, so this is my passion. I love to educate people, and I've kind of found beer education, and now I don't think I'm ever going to leave this like little niche part of our industry. So what is the Cicerone certification program? That's the number one question, right? So we are professional certification and education. So professional, for those in the industry, our first level exam, which I'll get into all the exam components later, that one is all online and available to anyone. So anyone who just wants to prove their beer chops or maybe get a foot into the industry can take that. But overall, we are aimed at professionals. Our upper level exams are pretty intense, and they're not just for anybody who doesn't have a professional stake in this. Beer should be easy for consumers, but not necessarily for those of us who work in beer. So all 4 areas that we have, all 4 levels, test on 5 areas of beer knowledge. So all the way from keeping and serving beer, beer styles, beer flavor and evaluation, beer ingredients and process, and finally, pairing beer with food. So obviously the first level I mentioned is online. That's the certified beer server level. That one is 60 multiple choice and true false questions in 30 minutes. So there's roughly 70,000 certified beer servers right now internationally in over 30 countries. So if you want to check out the syllabus, that's the first step, and then you can go from there. That exam doesn't get into as much depth because it is just an online exam, so we don't have you do tasting. There's not any sort of oral exam or interview component to that one, but our upper level exams all include those components. So as I mentioned, we have 4 levels. Certified beer server is the first one. Certified Cicerone is the second level. There is quite a big knowledge jump between certified beer server and certified Cicerone. Certified Cicerone, there's only about 2,300 of those internationally. So you can tell from 70,000 to 2,300, it's a big jump there. Not a lot of people attain this level of certification. We have about a 40% pass rate. It is an in-person exam. There is a tasting component as well as a demonstration component to this exam. And Will's been through all this, so I have too. I'm a certified Cicerone. But if you have any specific questions about either of those 2 exams, absolutely happy to answer those because we've been through them. Now, advanced Cicerone is our newest level. That's after certified. There's only 6 advanced right now, so there's actually fewer advanced Cicerones than master Cicerones for the time being. We are going to report a couple more of those exams probably later this week, maybe next week, so that stat will change very soon. But for now, there's only 6. We just gave the first exams this year, this spring. We gave 6 exams. We only have 2 graded so far. We have 6 more coming this fall, and we are starting to look at 2017 dates for that. The demand for the advanced Cicerone level is so high, we're having to run it on a lottery system right now. So if you are a certified Cicerone, you'll be sent the lottery information, and then I draw your names randomly. We have a random name list generator, and that's how you end up with a spot in that exam. Master is very similar. Right now we're running that on a lottery process as well. We only give that one 1 to 2 times a year. That one, there's only 11 in the whole world, and it has an 8% pass rate. It's a 2-day exam that includes oral exams, 8 different taste panels, and a lot of writing, and writing by hand, which is what I hear is one of the hardest parts of that exam. But I actually administer the upper level exams, so while I haven't taken them, I have helped give them all of the advanced exams and the master since 2011. So Will kind of mentioned I was employee number 1. I've been here, I wouldn't say quite employee number 1, but almost, like first full-time one, the longest tenured employee, whatever. I've been around since 2011, and the program started in 2008. Ray Daniels started it. He wrote Designing Great Beers. I'm sure most of you have heard of him. So he'll be joining on future webinars to talk about other stuff. So I'm going to get into a little bit of preparation for the exams, because that's something that people are often confused by, is how to prepare for the exams. So the first level, Certified Beer Server, I mentioned the syllabus. That's the best way to start your journey. Look at the syllabus. I joke, if it looks like it's written in another language, you probably need a little study time. But if you've worked in the industry, or you've been a home brewer, you're a BJCP judge, something like that, you're probably going to have a little bit easier time with that exam. So you may not need a whole lot besides maybe a little brush up. It takes about 8 hours to study for that exam if you're a novice beer, new to beer. We also recommend Tasting Beer by Randy Mosier. That's a real easy book to pick up a nice reference. It's pretty cheap, available everywhere. We also have some free study links available. So that's a real easy way to get that done. Free study links, read the book, check out the syllabus. Probably BJCP guidelines are a good place to go as well. But for some people, they need a little bit more guided study. They need a little more help translating from a book to actual remembering and recalling during a timed exam. So for that, we created Beer Savvy. So Beer Savvy is our online e-learning program. It's designed to take about 6 to 8 hours to complete. It's got videos in it featuring Ray and some other people. We also have styles profiles in there. You may have seen our flashcards that are available. That's a great way to study. If you buy Beer Savvy, you can actually print those flashcards. So you can just print your own set, or you can purchase the ones that we have for sale. If you're in the Chicagoland area, in North Carolina, or near Detroit, we've actually launched an in-person class called the Beer Savvy Boot Camp that can also help you prepare. So in the in-person class, we actually do tasting. So you get to taste through 6 foundational beer styles, and then we kind of build a beer family tree from those 6 foundational styles. We also taste through raw ingredients and talk about the flavors that those create in the final beer. So it really depends on your learning style, where you're located, what kind of background you have, really what the best option is for you. But luckily, we have people here, and it's our job to help you with that. So if you call us, you're going to talk to Lauren, and she can help you figure out what might be right for you, or we do have all this information on the website. People ask me all the time whether or not they need to take Beer Savvy, and that's absolutely not our intent. I mean, of course, we designed it to be robust and comprehensive, but some people don't find that an e-learning works for them very well, and some people don't have the money to buy an e-learning program along with it. That's why we offer a lot of different ways you can study for the test. Some people even get training through their jobs, or if you are maybe working at a bar or restaurant, sometimes a distributor that services you can offer this kind of study for you. So there's a lot of different ways you can get the education. We just want to be the ones that test you on the information. So Certified Beer Server is more ubiquitous. Certified Cicerone takes a lot more study. There's only the 2,300 and the 40-ish% pass rate. So it takes about 1 to 2 years to study for Certified Cicerone. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is that they want to rush through the program. I want to give you certifications as much as you want to earn them, but you have to make sure that you're prepared, and I want to make sure that people understand what they're getting into. So that's part of why we're doing this webinar. The exam format I briefly went over earlier, but it is a written exam that includes essays, short answer, some multiple choice, and then we do have an oral exam. We film you doing a beer service component. I ask you to talk about that for 3 minutes, and then there is a tasting as well. So we test you on off flavors, on blind style discrimination, and then whether or not the beer that we're presenting to you is fit for service. So we actually have a sample tasting exam, we have a reading list available, and we also have our first certified Cicerone exam that we gave in 2008, all available on the website to help you kind of get a feel for the question type and how much in depth the exam goes.
Yeah, so we've had a couple questions come in.
Yeah.
One thing that we're actually doing at the Beer Menus office is getting everyone to move through the program, starting with level 1. And there's a question asked, is there a way to sign up a group of people for levels of the exam? And if so, is there a discount? And how would that work?
Yes, to both. We do offer group sales. You can get to that through the website. If you're on our homepage for the next week, it's the option all the way to the right. We are getting a new website on Monday. We're very excited around here. But you can also email sales@cicerone.org. So that email comes to me conveniently. So I can send you our bulk rate sheet, and we have a little document that describes how to make a bulk purchase on the website, or if you need invoicing, we can handle that. Our discounts begin at 10 participants, and it's based on a coupon code system. So let's say that you have 20 employees, the second level discount's at 25. So I always recommend purchasing a little above what you need. You get 25 coupon codes, you give them to your 20 employees, each person gets to take the exam, and then you have 5 sitting around for turnover, new hires, expansion, that kind of thing. They don't expire, so then you get the cheaper per exam rate.
Awesome. Yeah, so we had one other question come in about recommended methods for studying for the exams. Having personally gone through the process and thankfully passed the exam recently, I could give a couple of insights, and then certainly it'd be great to get your input, Virginia. But for me, I'd say one of the things that got me most excited about the program was taking a class with you guys. I took one of the off-flavor classes for the certified Cicerone level, and I was just blown away by how professional you guys were. I took a class with Pat Fahey. I was just amazed by that whole experience, and definitely being in a group setting and getting other people's feedback on what they smelled from different off flavors was really helpful, because people definitely experience smells a little bit differently, and just having that group setting helped me a lot with my preparation. Did you have any input on that, Virginia? Just methods for preparing?
There's a lot of different ways. I think knowing yourself and your willpower, the time you can put into it every week, and that will kind of shape which one works best for you. But I always recommend flavor training, always. It's really difficult to make sure that you're knowing what the off flavors are when we're testing on them. Sure, maybe your friend's homebrew had a bunch of diacetyl in it, and they think it did, and you taste it, but you know, maybe there's some other things going on in there too if there's a problem with diacetyl. So maybe there's some acetaldehyde as well. Maybe there was some cleanliness issues and there's some infection going on. So you can't be sure that you're isolating that one flavor. So just having the control beer next to you and then the actual spiked with only that flavor beer can really help differentiate. And I always say tasting doesn't happen in a vacuum. You need to be able to interact with other people and kind of build your own flavor vocabulary as well as kind of flavor map. I don't want to get that confused with the tongue map. That tongue map that was in your books as a kid is a complete bogus. No, don't pay attention to that. But you do have to know what flavors you experience things as. So I can tell you all day that DMS is usually a creamed corn kind of flavor, but maybe you don't get that. So if I keep saying that to you and you're not getting it that way, there's a disconnect. So you need to know that I'm saying DMS is in the sample. How are you perceiving it? Because that's way more important than me telling you it tastes like creamed corn. And you can read that. But the actual practice and learning what you perceive the flavors as is very important. So we do offer off-flavor courses. in a pretty similar kind of geographic location. We're trying to spread them out as much as we can. We're doing one in LA for LA Beer Week, for instance. So those are all listed on our website under the events section, but you can also do those at home. We offer a basic off flavor kit, and that comes for 6 people, 12 people, or 24 people. Just the format's a little different so that you can save a little bit more money if you're training more people. It comes with a webinar, so you can taste through all the samples with Ray, so you can do that at home with your super nerdy beer friends who like to taste bad beer, or with maybe a homebrew club or other people who are studying for the certified exam. There are like a lot of other resources you could use. Road to Cicerone course books are the #1 thing I can recommend. Again, it's a resource that we published, but we basically looked at the syllabus and broke out each of the 5 sections, and we're making a whole spiral-bound book about each one of those. So we have the beer styles we actually broke out as well. So it's not just going to be 5 books. We have German beer styles, British and Irish beer styles, and keeping and serving beer currently available. We're talking about probably mid-July, having out ingredients and process as well. So you can kind of cherry pick and say, I got draft. Maybe you've been through the Micromatic draft course. Maybe you worked in a bar. I don't need that one, but German beer styles, that one's a little more tricky for me, so you choose that one. We have a forum where you can talk to other people who are studying for the certified exam, form study groups, answer discussion questions that we ask in the book. And one of the most valuable parts that I found, because I actually used some of these books when I was studying for my exam, was the quiz. So we have a little quiz at the end that's accessible online that is 60 questions, and it is the same level of difficulty that we use on the certified exam. So for instance, British and Irish, took the quiz and did not pass, so I needed to study a little bit harder on that particular topic. I studied up and I did much better, passed the quiz, and ultimately I did pass on my first attempt. But German, I had that one in the bag from the start, and I knew based on that quiz. So that kind of self-check is really valuable for a lot of people. We also have a boot camp. If you want to come to Chicago and hang out with us for a whole week, we do the boot camp twice a year. Our next one coming up is in August. So if you can pull away from work, it's a really great intensive week. Everyone who's been through it has found it super valuable. It's great for someone if you're training other people or you have employees, because it's kind of a train the trainer. You can find out where your strengths are, but also where your weaknesses are. And we do have a lot of cool people come in and do fun things. We do a beer and food pairing dinner at the Hop Leaf. We have Randy Mosier come in and do a beer and cheese pairing demonstration. So we really do try to make it a fun time as well as really intensive educationally. It's part of why we call it a boot camp. So there are a lot of other resources, though. I mean, we have an entire book list on our website. It's broken out by which area you're trying to study for, which exam, and I mean, a couple good base books would be Oxford Companion to Beer. Make sure you have a copy of that. All of our Road to Cicerone books will reference readings from Oxford Companion, and that's just a really great resource. Draft Beer Quality Manual is a great resource at the certified level. Any of the advanced and master study materials are going to be the same as for certified, just in a little bit more depth, or maybe they're a bit more of a technical publication. But for the most part, I would say the book list, the Road to Cicerone books, off-flavor training, for sure, those things. Style discrimination you need to study too, but that one we haven't found a way yet to help you guys with, besides find a buddy and have them pour beer for you blind, and then see what your experience is with that. Is this a German Hefeweizen or an American wheat type situation? And we have all those tastings that we walk you through in the Road to Cicerone books, as well as a guide to buying fresh beer and a little style guide so you can see what some widely available commercial examples are for these beers we're asking you to pick up and taste. So.
Great. Yeah. So it looks like we have a few more questions that have come in. One thing that was definitely relevant for me when I was preparing, having never worked in hospitality in the past, it was difficult figuring out what to focus on in terms of the service side of preparation. Do you have any kind of recommendations for how to focus on the elements of the exam related to service?
So again, find a friend is the best way. I talked to a couple of my friends who were bartenders who would maybe let me in the bar before they opened or something, just to show me kind of the anatomy of the system, to show you the 3-compartment sink and to show you the regulated panels on the wall and the cooler with the kegs and things like that, because seeing that anatomy helped me understand the process of design and theory. And that's really what we're testing on at the certified level. We're not going to ask you to build a whole system and figure out the resistance or anything like that. And also, it's sort of common sense, but not. One of the questions people trip up on the certified beer server exam is the order in which you dunk a glass through the 3-compartment sinks. And it's just making sure that you're thinking about the fact that it has to be heel in so that you don't get an air bubble and so that the sanitizer touches all parts of the glass. Or, it's things that you don't have to necessarily pay attention to as a customer, but when you think about it, you've seen this process happen even as a consumer. So really try to just find a friend that can get you behind the bar, or Beer Savvy is a great resource for that. We talk about beer clean glassware. We talk about how to change keg. We do basic service really hard at that first level to prepare you for certified beer server. So the second level is more draft beer quality manual, and make sure you understand the cleaning process for how to keep your system clean and prevent infection and off flavors. But for the most part, that's the best resource. Find a study buddy.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So one other question was, how does this exam compare to the BJCP exam?
That is a super common question. We do refer to BJCP, I mentioned earlier, to use the guidelines to help you study, but BJCP really only covers styles and beer flavor and evaluation, which are 2 of the things that we cover, but not all 5. So they don't cover keeping and serving beer, they don't cover beer and food pairing, that kind of thing. Ingredients and process only slightly, where you know a bit about the malts because of the flavors they create or the styles that they're used in, but not necessarily actually brewing. So it's just the depth and information that's covered is really the big difference there.
Great. Okay, so one more question. How do I find a location for the certified Cicerone exam? Just came in.
Yeah, so on our website, cicerone.org, right now you can check out the Certified Cicerone page, and then on the side you'll have our exam schedule posted. It's our objective to try to put exams on there as early as we can, so we do schedule based on demand. So if you are in Georgia and you really want an exam, send us an email, and then we kind of log that, and as soon as we have a group of 7 to 10 people together, then we work from finding a exam location, and that's when we'll put it as a tentative on our schedule, where it'll say, maybe in December 2016 we're going to be in Georgia. And then as we nail down those exam details, location, date, proctor, all that stuff, then we'll open it up for registration. But we try to have each exam open for probably 2 months at least before the exam. On our new website, which as I mentioned is coming Monday, we're even going to have a feature hopefully at launch, maybe a week or so later, where we'll have a map. So you can kind of click where you are in the map, and it'll zoom you into about maybe a 300-mile radius to the exams that are closest to you. So we're really trying to make it as accessible as possible. We're also launching a waitlist feature on the new site, so you can see that the exam is full, but you can sign up for the waitlist, which we have been doing, but it's not really been as publicized or as readily available for everyone to see. So yeah, we're in most major markets probably once a year, but it is based on demand. So talk to your friends, have them email, and then we'll notice that there's an exam wanted in your area and get it on the schedule.
Great. So yeah, a question just came in. Will this video be available to watch later on? And it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll send you guys a link when this is done so you can look at it once we're off if you want to review anything.
Absolutely. Most of this information isn't going to change. I'm knocking on my desk here. We're not going to add any other levels since we just added advanced. And we just updated all of our materials for BJCP for 2015, and now we have the new website launching. So we have a whole lot going on, but hopefully all the base information will stay the same.
Great. Well, yeah, I'm trying to think. One question personally, having passed the certified Cicerone exam, how does it work signing up for the advanced? I know there are some wait lists, but is that how does that work exactly?
That's a super common question as well. I'm really glad you asked it. So again, with the lottery process, so once you pass Certified Cicerone, you're added to our database of Certified Cicerone. So when we have any kind of opportunity for Certified Cicerones, whether it be an advanced exam or a training opportunity in your area, whatever it might be, then we have you in that database. So we'll send you an email when we have an opening for a lottery, either when we've announced a date or when we've announced the lottery times. And then again, the day the lottery opens, we send you a link to that same email address. You click the link, you sign up for the lottery, and then is the big waiting game, unfortunately. So I usually keep the lottery open for a couple weeks to give everyone an opportunity to get in on it, close the lottery, and then I draw for the 24 spots that we have for each exam. Right now, this spring and this fall, we're doing a lot of double exams where we do a day one and then a second day, just so we can accommodate as many people as possible. Right now, all our exams for 2016 are sold out and all the lotteries are closed. So if you haven't got in on an advanced exam for 2016 and you are a certified Cicerone, your best bet would be to email me, virginia@cicerone.org, and then I can put you at the bottom of our alternate list. Some of these have kind of a huge alternate list. We have the 24 spots, but we have about 100 people for some of these exams wanting to get in. But that's probably your best bet at this point. Happy to put you on the alternate list. We do have a lot of movement. Everyone asks me. It's really super difficult to tell how many people are going to drop out or transfer days or decide they're not prepared or when that's going to happen. So the long and short of it is, the people who are drawn get notified the first day. Then I have to wait for them to all pay and kind of for the roster to stabilize. Then I email alternates and let you know what your alternate number is, and then I'll email you again if a spot becomes available. So a lot of waiting for emails from me. I wish that emails from me had a better context. A lot of people say they're like waiting with bated breath for those emails, but we're trying to do what we can to accommodate all the people that want to take it. We're looking at 2017 dates right now. We haven't announced those yet. Those will be announced on our newsletter, on our website, and then we'll send out an email separately to all the certified Cicerones with those dates as well. Good luck to everybody. I call it Master Light. I really like that we added this level. That's another question. Why did we add advanced? Because people weren't passing master. That's the long and short of it. An 8% pass rate is pretty slim, and a lot of people who are attempting it are, big names in the industry and really know their stuff, but just not in the way that we ask you to for the exam. You have to have an 85% to pass. It's super difficult. So we wanted to give people something that they could achieve above Certified Cicerone if Master wasn't on the horizon for them, because it's just not, for a lot of people, it's just not a practical thing. To be able to travel and have that kind of encyclopedic knowledge is definitely not a pursuit for every person. If you've seen the documentary Somm about the Master Sommelier exam, yeah, it's a lot like that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, to go back to the methods for preparation, one thing I found very helpful was just sitting in with people who are homebrewing. And definitely personally, as I try to prepare for level 3 for the advanced, I've definitely been trying to get more serious about homebrewing to just better learn the process and ingredients section of it. But yeah, I hope that's helpful.
That is one of my other recommendations is, especially if you don't have a lot of experience, you don't come from a homebrewing background, there are homebrew clubs that you can join where you don't have to buy all the equipment. You can use their equipment. The big one here in Chicago that I know of is Chaos. But you can join up with other people who are homebrewing and just help them out. It'll help you understand the process. We do have a brewing process and ingredients app as well. If you want to go into the app store and get that, it's all animated and you kind of have to drag and drop the process and the equipment in the right order to make a beer. So that can kind of help with the actual process. Otherwise, I would say, yeah, helping with homebrew, helping with a commercial brew if you have the opportunity to do that. Just get in there and get your hands dirty. Hands-on learning is typically one of the best ways for everyone to learn. So finding study groups and doing the hard work is really the best way. It really helps cement those concepts for a lot of people.
All right, so one more question just came in. Do you need to get recertified every few years, or how does that work?
So we don't actually do recertification. A lot of the information that we're testing on doesn't really change. I say that just after we did the VJCP update, but that has was a long time coming, several years at least. And we're not really testing on, emerging beer styles and trends. We're testing more on classic beer styles and basic beer knowledge. So you don't really need to recertify. We are exploring a validation program for our flavor training products, and that is something that is, again, sort of a self-check situation. That'll be launching very soon, so keep an eye out for that. That way you can say, well, I did the class, or I did that at-home webinar for the basic flavors, but I don't really know if I do know my stuff. So you can do the validation kit, and it's a blind way that we can test you on that. And then also that's some way that you can kind of distinguish yourself. So maybe you're a certified Cicerone, you passed a few years ago, you could potentially do this validation to say, yeah, I'm keeping up on my study, because flavor training is one of the areas where you really do need to keep it up. So that's kind of our incentive for that, is to offer this validation product soon. We're working with the ROCSA to develop that, just like we did with our flavor training products. So.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think. Can you tell us anything else about the new website that you guys are launching soon?
Well, the big thing is it's going to be mobile friendly. So I really hope that makes a lot of people happy, because we have a lot of mobile traffic and we realize that, but it's super difficult to take our existing site and kind of shove it down into tablet and phone format. So the new site's going to be mobile friendly. That's awesome. Another thing is we're going to have language capabilities. So when you log onto the site, you'll be able to select your country and your language. We are in the process of translating our site now. So we're going to have French, then Spanish, and past that is still TBD, but we are hoping to have those products available so that you can use the website from start to finish in your language, your preferred language, and then also take the exam or access Beer Savvy, our syllabi, that situation. The other big key thing I think that a lot of people are going to notice is our updates to our profile pages. So we already have the ability to upload a picture or a header, to add a bio, to link to your Twitter, things like that. But we're going to have an even more robust interface there, so that we're hoping people will be able to share that page, just to say, hey, look, this is the certifications I've earned, this is where I work, this is how you can get a hold of me. And we also are going to have a messaging feature, an internal messaging feature. One of the most commonly requested things is, hey, I want to get a hold of Will from Beer Menus. He's a certified Cicerone, and I want to do a beer tasting with him, or I want him to help me, study, whatever it might be. So if Will logs onto his cicerone.org profile and selects, yes, I'll receive messages from other people, any other user on the site can go ahead and send a message to you. So that's a great way to help people connect without, worrying about people's privacy or giving out email addresses, that kind of thing. So hopefully that'll help people connect and form study groups, and even, other opportunities within the beer industry for leading tastings or whatever that might be.
That's great. Really excited about that. One more question. What types of jobs do people tend to use their certification for? Does it focus in one area?
So people who take our program are from all areas of the beer industry. So breweries, brew pubs, distributors, down to bottle shop employees, and people who work at bars, to people who work in beer education, or the technological side of beer. So anybody that works in beer, it's good for taking our certifications. I talk about our whole supply chain being certified. If beer is your business, then everyone who does business with you should understand that. So our printer, the people who embroider our clothing, our insurance agent, they're all certified beer servers, because it's important to us. It's our business. Certified beer server level is more entry level, so you're going to see more servers, more people that are customer facing, having that entry level certification. Certified Cicerone's more of a managerial position in my eyes. People who train other people who have employees under them, who are giving training, developing educational programs, bar managers, craft beer managers, anybody who really wants to further their career in beer and set themselves apart. And it's the same for the higher level exams. Obviously, if there's only 17 people right now who have advanced and master, it's a great way to set yourself apart and prove that you're really serious about beer and studying beer. Those levels aren't for every person, but even just trying to go for it and attempting it, that's a great pursuit. And often people say, why should I do Cicerone? I say, why not? If someone wants to get a job with me, I want to know that they're passionate, that they're dedicated, and there's a great way to prove it by putting, your money where your mouth is and doing a certification. I can say that a lot of the people that have worked for us or do work for us, one that comes to mind is our certified Cicerone exam director, Chris Pisney. He was certified before we ever hired him. He worked in PR, and he took the time. He loved beer. He's a home brewer to get the certification, and it impressed us. So that's often a way that people can kind of enter into the industry, is proving their knowledge through our certifications.
Great. Yeah, so one more question came in. Do you guys have any accommodations for people with dyslexia? And
Yes.
Looks like there's also interest in learning a bit more about the advanced level.
Sure. Yes, we do have accommodations. We are committed to dealing with people who have any kind of need, whether that be, longer testing times or testing in your native language we're working on, or having a dictionary if you need that. We do have a page on our website that outlines all our policies in that arena, or you can shoot us an email to info@cicerone.org, and we'd be happy to outline those policies and procedures for you and work with you to get an exam that you feel like is more fair, because that's our objective. We want to test you on beer, not all the other stuff. Your reading comprehension and all that doesn't matter to us. It's whether or not you know about beer. And then advanced level, let's see. So it's a one-day exam. It has a written component in the morning, and you get pulled out and you do 2 oral exams, and then you switch and do a different written. You do taste panels right before lunch, taste panels at the end of the day. It is a full day. We have you there from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have the tasting exam online. So if you're worried about the format of the tasting exam or exactly kind of how that works, look at that. That explains everything. The oral exams are typically with master cicerones, or they're usually with Ray, at least one of them. So you sit down with them and talk about a beer concept. With Ray, it's typically beer styles, so he'll sit you down and ask you about a beer style. So I think for the oral exams, the biggest tip I have is to not really be intimidated, to work on that part. People come in and go, oh my gosh, I'm sitting in front of Ray Daniels, and it really can affect your performance. You only have 10 minutes to get across everything that you know about that topic. So it's probably the hardest thing to prepare for, but it is one of the bigger things that people trip up about. They know what they want to say, and they just get a little freaked out by the situation. So handling your stressors is probably a good way to see it. I know it's silly, but writing, how many people have written, 20 pages by hand recently? Not many. So, when I introduce the exam, I tell people, make sure you're doing stretches, make sure you're shaking your hands out. If you need to get up and go, walk to the bathroom and clear your mind, do it. The test-taking strategy is probably one of the bigger issues for people, because how often do you have to take a test about beer? And how often do you have to take a test? A lot of us have been out of college for a good while. I'm dating myself maybe, but we're not used to buckling down and studying for something. And just know that you can retake. Don't be freaked out by, oh my gosh, this is such a hard exam. Maybe you have a cold that day. You're probably not going to pass the tasting if you have a cold. That is really bad luck, but you can retake. That's why we offer retakes. It's not the end of the world. No one's even going to know if you don't tell them. So I think advanced, it's so new that people have a lot of questions about it, but we designed it to be very similar to other exams. We want it to fit right in between certified and master. The format is almost identical to master. It's just 1 day instead of 2. We posted a lot of information recently to try to help people like the tasting exam examples, to try to take the mystery out of it. We don't want it to be mysterious. We want you to understand the exam components and what to expect when you get there, so that all you have to worry about is the actual material.
Great. Well, yeah, that's really helpful. I think we're just about going over time. If you guys have any extra questions, you can feel free to email either of us, and we'd be happy to respond. We're also going to be sending out a message to ask you what subjects you guys would like us to cover in a bit more detail in the future, and we'd love your feedback on that. But thanks so much for tuning in and for all the questions that you guys had. Thank you, Virginia. It's a
You guys.
wealth of information.
I love to be connected to people. I usually only get this opportunity at trade shows and conferences in the industry. So I love answering questions. Shoot us an email if you have any more.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for tuning in. We are going to sign off, but we will talk to you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.